Okay, so let's recite together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the sublime, the victorious, and the totally self-enlightened one. Okay, welcome everyone. Today we're going to start with something from last week, which is about Ekaggata. Last week we talked about the 4 devices of Ekaggata, and in ultimate reality, Samadhi is actually the mental factor of Ekaggata, one-pointedness. No? So we have seen that the proximate cause of Ekaggata, one-pointedness, we saw it last week, it was happiness originated from non-attachment to sensual pleasure. However, we know that one-pointedness is a universal mental factor, so it arises with all kinds of citta, right? So in those cases where those citta, for example, if it is a resultant consciousness, then it cannot be, the proximate cause doesn't seem right that it is an happiness originated from non-attachment, right? So therefore, we talked about that this proximate cause, specifically this happiness originated from non-attachment to sensual pleasure, are those very developed one-pointedness, especially for meditation. Actually, in the text, it only says sukha in general. So how do we understand this? I have talked with my teacher about this, and he says that concerning causes, there are so many causes and conditions for everything. So usually in these 4 devices, only the main one or the closest or important causes are mentioned. Not everything are being mentioned. So in the case of Ekaggata, only sukha is mentioned. Now, the range of sukha is very, very wide, from very basic convenience to comfortable, to happiness, pleasant feeling. So it's very wide, the range, what we call sukha. So in general, at least some basic convenience or comfort is necessary for any type of concentration. We may have experience, maybe for work or for daily life. If we are not feeling well, if we are not comfortable, then it will be very difficult to concentrate, right? So this is the kind of sukha, at least some kind of convenience will be necessary, even for unwholesome actions, because this ekaggata can also accompany unwholesome actions, akusala, which is a wrong samadhi at that time. Say hunting, fishing, and all these things also require concentration. So at those times, the cause will be just some kind of comfort, or the person will be like kind of in a comfortable situation. Then for those one-pointedness that arise, for example, with resulting consciousness, then for those cases, it will be, although it is not specifically mentioned in the text, we can understand it to be the other associated cetasikas. Now, when a citta arises, it never arises alone. Yeah, so it always arises together with at least the 7 universal mental factors, and then some other associated mental factors as well. So these associated cetasikas, they all work together and support each other. So in this case, for the very simple citta, we can understand that one-pointedness, the approximate cause, is their associated cetasika, which support its arising or its functioning. So that was a little bit more information from last week's content. Is that okay, Gunadi?
Yes, thank you, Maharaji.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so let's go on to today's content. Last week, we have completed the Anapana section, mindfulness of breathing. So today we are going to start with Iriyāpatha, the 4 posture. So we'll go directly to the sutta. Punya chaparam bhikkhave bhikkhu, gachanto va gachamiti pajanati. Tito va titomiti pajanati, nisino va nisinomiti pajanati, sayano va sayanomiti Sampajāna. So let's see until here. And again, bhikkhu, a bhikkhu knows I am going when he is going. He knows I'm standing when he's standing. He knows I'm sitting when he's sitting. He knows I'm lying down when he's lying down. So here in this section, the four main postures are emphasized. Gachanto, going or walking. Then we have tito, standing. And then we have sayano, lying down, and nisino, sitting down. So we have these four main postures here. And then, so meditators are to use all these four postures for mindfulness practice. Let's see also the last phrase here, and then we will go together. So we understand already about walking or going, standing, sitting, and lying down. And then it says, yata yata wa panasa kayo panihito hoti tata tata nam pajanati. That means, or just as his body is disposed, so he knows it. Let's take a look at this sentence because there are various ways that we can understand it. Now, the first way we can understand this sentence, the commentator interprets this sentence to be just a general statement for all the four postures. So not differing much from the statement made before. That means when meditators are going, they must know that I'm going, standing, they must know that I'm standing, and so on. So it's like a wrap up as a general statement. Then there is another opinion. The author of the subcommentary, however, added that a bhikkhu knows that I'm going when he's going and so on. The different postures are emphasized. But in this last statement, as his body is disposed, the whole body as a whole is emphasized. Therefore, when we know that our body as a whole, we have the general feeling of the whole body going or standing or sitting or lying down. So we may be following the instructions given in this last statement if we are aware of the general, the whole body in that posture. So this is the second understanding. Now, Mahasi Sayadaw has something more to add. So Mahasi Sayadaw said that this statement covers all the small departments or postures of the body, like stretching or bending, looking forward or looking sideways, or any actions that the body might take, such as opening the door, and actually rising and falling of the abdomen is also included here in this section. So for Mahasi Sayadaw, he understands this sentence to mean everything else, every other small postures that the body can have. Now let's take a moment and think, when can we be mindful? Only during sitting meditation? Not really, right? We can be mindful in other times as well. Actually, mindfulness can be practiced and should be practiced since the moment we wake up. So let's very briefly run through a normal day. Do you think we can be aware of brushing teeth? Yes? Anyone has experience being aware brushing teeth? Yes? That's great. Yes. So when we brush teeth also, we can be mindful. How about taking a shower? That's possible, right? Oh, I think I have the raise hand button there. Anyway, I'll leave it. Okay, how about taking a shower? What can we know when we are taking a shower? So when we are taking a shower, a very obvious thing we can know the temperature of the water. We can also know how the mind is feeling, whether it is enjoying the hot water, I'll stay a little bit longer, or whether we are hurrying, like thinking about what I'm going to do today, etc. And also all these things we can be aware of in any actions that we are doing in our daily life. Then let's see, how about when we are making breakfast? Is it possible? That's possible also. Now, whatever we may be doing, always the mind is thinking about something. We can be aware of that, the feeling. And then when we are taking a coffee, checking some messages, usually we tend to get lost when we are doing something require a little bit more involvement than but it is possible. Now we can know. Then how about when we are ready? Then we are going out now and driving. going somewhere, or riding a car. We can also be mindful when we are in an elevator, waiting in the bank, or working, eating, keeping silent, or talking to others, or even just resting, reading, and anything. So it is actually possible to be aware all the time. And this is actually the instruction of this posture section. So it is said that yogis or meditators practicing vipassana cannot afford to be unmindful of the small movements or deportments of the body. So when we practice vipassana, we must be aware of everything that is present at the moment. Now we may wonder, but why? Why do we have to be aware all the time? Now let's take a look at the 4 devices of sati, mindfulness or awareness of this mental factor. The characteristic of mindfulness or awareness, sati, is non-wobbling, not floating away from the object. So it is said that it is as strong as a stone. So it is not moving, not floating away. It is with the object all the time. That is mindfulness. Now, how about when the mind is not mindful? In the commentaries, it has an example. It says that a mind without mindfulness is like a pumpkin floating on water. So it goes here and there. And also monkey mind will come and play with it. So without mindfulness, our mind is like this pumpkin going here and there. So sati, in order to be called mindfulness or awareness, it must be with the object and not only superficially. It must be like strong like a stone, staying with the object and not floating, and not just floating in the surface of it. And then the the function of mindfulness is the absence of confusion or non-forgetfulness. Now, not forgetting about what? Not forgetting about kusala, not forgetting about what is wholesome. That's the function of sati, because sati is beautiful cetasika, universal beautiful cetasika that only associate with wholesome mind. That means whenever there is mindfulness, the mind is actually wholesome at that moment. So that makes it more beautiful, isn't it? So it is absent of confusion and not forgetfulness. And its manifestation is as guardianship. That means sati manifests like a guard, So when you put a guard at the gate, the guard can keep unwanted animals or unwanted people out. No, it doesn't let those unwanted individuals inside the city or whatever, the palace, whatever. No. So in the same way, when we put sati as a guard at the sixth sense door, it can keep out unwanted or unwholesome mental states from arising in the mind. When sati is there, so long as sati is at this sixth sense door, an unwholesome state will not so easily arise in the mind. And then what is the proximate cause of sati? That is actually the 4 foundation of mindfulness. So when we are paying attention to the 4 foundation, the mindfulness is with us. Now, sati is the gatekeeper, or sometimes I imagine it to be the goalkeeper. Say we are having a football or soccer game. If the goalkeeper is not doing a full-time job, what happens is that defilements such as craving, aversion, delusion will keep shooting and score. So therefore, sati is very important, together with the help of effort, which keeps the unwholesome mind state away and maintain the wholesome mind state and cultivate them. It's very helpful. Therefore, we have to keep it continuously, because every moment of mindfulness supports for more moments of mindfulness to arise. Now, the question is, how is our inner guard or our gatekeeper? Is this guard doing its job properly? Or is the guard like this? Now, if our guard is sleeping, then defilements are free to enter and do whatever they want. So when the mind is full of defilements, there is no way for wisdom to arise. Therefore, sati is the key. It is the guard that that is the basis for stability of mind and wisdom and understanding to arise, which is what leads to liberation at the end. So without sati, the other things are not possible. Concentration is also not possible. Understanding of wisdom is also not possible. Therefore, to protect the mind from defilements and to have the mind ready all the time for understanding to arise, that is why it is important to keep mindfulness or awareness as continuous as possible. So vipassana must be practiced all the time, not only during retreat or during sitting meditation. Well, sometimes in our daily life, we are busy with many things and we might not be able to keep the mind contemplating so deeply all the time. But at those moments, we still need to maintain our mindfulness. And we can do this by simply knowing our bodily posture. So this will help to build the continuity of our awareness. And it will also reduce the chance of the arising of defilements. Even if we are not contemplating the ultimate reality or the nature of things as they are very deeply, but just knowing the posture is helpful for those moments. And then whenever possible, that we can know deeper along with contemplation and understanding. So these are the two levels of knowing. Okay, let's go back to the sutta. The knowing here, pajanati. For vipassana contemplation, we cannot just know very superficially. We have to know deeper. And what is that deep knowing that is meant here? Now, what is the difference between the knowing of people who are not meditating and people who are meditating? When people do not meditate knows that I'm going, they may be aware of the going only superficially. They may not be aware at every moment and they do not know it with understanding of the ultimate reality. Especially nowadays, how do people walk? Do you think many of us really know that we are going when we are going? It seems a little bit unlikely, right? So actually, in reality, before any going or any walking or any movement can take place, there has to be the desire or intention to go. And that is what we call cetana, the intention to move. And that is the mind, right? Now, in the twinkle of an eye, it is said that millions of chittas or thought moments arise and cease, arise and cease. This chitta that arises, they cause some kind of material property to arise. And those are called mind-produced material property, chittaja rupa. And in moving, air element in these material properties is prominent. So air element prominent material properties are being generated by the mind. This desire or the intention to move causes the air element to arise in the parts of the body that are going to move, and then movement occurs. Then meditators are also aware that there is not only one intention, but successive moments of intention are followed by successive moments of the body. And the intention, as well as the body movement, they arise and disappear very rapidly. So they do not exist up to the next moment. The going is not one continuous or permanent process. So also the intention also is not just one. At every moment, new intention arise and then cease. And then the air element and the body movement also arises and cease like that. Usually we see all this tiny movement. It appears to be just one big movement and we are not aware that there are different mind arising at different moment and different material properties are being generated in the body for the movement. But when we keep applying mindfulness during walking, we will come to see that there are actually different intentions and different movement arising and ceasing at every moment. They are not the same. Now, when we do not observe the going or walking closely as is done in meditation, we do not know the act of going is composed only of the intention and the movement caused by the mind-produced air element and nothing more. We do not know that there is neither an individual nor a being apart from the intention and the movement. There is neither an I, nor a man, nor a woman, nor any individual, but just the intention and the body movement is occurring together. Therefore, the knowing of someone who are applying sati in observing and someone who is just walking is very different. When we're just walking and then we say, I know I'm walking, but if we do not know deeper than that, then we cannot call that walking meditation. No? We usually think we are one, and then we are the same individual that existed in the past, that is existing now, and that will exist in the future. Well, maybe we have some vague idea of impermanence, but we still think that it is the same me. Without penetrating into the true nature of mind and matter, we cannot shed the belief in a being. We uphold the belief in the being because we do not see the arising and disappearing of the intention and the movement at any given moment. If we know that it is always arising and disappearing, then we will understand that there is nobody there. It's only mind and matter working together, creating the movement. Therefore, the practice of observing all the posture all the time will lead to the understanding that will help us abandon the concept of a permanent entity or the concept of self, of atta. Yeah. Now, the Pali word for meditation, kammatthana, is defined as a condition for further development. When it is to be called kammatthana or meditation, it must be a condition to foster further development. Therefore, normal walking without mindful observation cannot be called meditation or the foundation of mindfulness. When we are mindfully walking, we are aware of the movement and we are watching closely the process of walking. And we are aware of the intention of the movement itself in each moment. We are aware of them. And then eventually we will see what is mind and what is matter. Last week we talked about nama rupa paricheda jnana, no? The analytical knowledge of mind and matter. We will see that there is the mind, the intention in the mind, and then there is the body which is moving, and then they are not the same. They are separate. So in this way, this understanding becomes very clear in the mind of the meditator. With this kind of knowing, meditators are said to be seeing the nature of mind and matter thoroughly, clearly, and precisely. So that is what is meant by the knowing that is mentioned in the sutta, the pajanati, that kind of knowing. Then the sutta continues with iti ajatam wa kaya nupasi viharati. Bahida wa kaya nupasi viharati. Ajata bahida wa kaya nupasi viharati. Now this with let's look at kaya nupasi. Contemplating the body in the body. So in this section of the postures, the meaning of the contemplating the body in the body, we need to understand it to mean meditators understand that in walking, sitting, lying down, or whatever posture that the body is at, there is only intention, which is the mind, and the movement caused by the mind produced element, and there is nothing else. We cannot find a self or an individual anywhere. When we understand that there is only mind and matter and nothing else, we get rid of the wrong view of a self. And that is the purification of view. The meditator attained the first kind of understanding of Namarupa Paricheda Jnana. So as there is no I here in the walking, sitting, standing, or lying down, it is the same for other beings externally also. There are only mind and matter, so no man, no woman, no individuals doing those actions or postures. Well, this is the contemplation of internally, externally, and internally and externally. So when we look at here that there is no one, only mind and matter, then we're contemplating internally. Then when we understand by reference that if it is like this here, then it must be the same also for the others, that is externally. Then when we contemplate here sometimes and then there, then we're going back and forth in then those contemplation is called internally and externally. Okay, up to here, all good? Yes? Okay, then we continue. Then we go to the section about the origination factors. Samudaya Dhamma nupasi wa kayasmin viharati. He dwells contemplating the origination factors in the body. Here, the origination factors means the factors that bring about the movement. in the commentaries, an example is being given. Suppose there is a cart and a horse is yoked to it, and there is a driver. The driver causes the horse to move, and with its movement, it moves the cart. The movement of the body are like the movement of the cart. And the horse or the horses are like the air element produced by the mind. And the mind or cetana, intention, is the driver. So in the same way, for going or walking or moving to happen, it also takes different elements. So here we have three factors occurring together: the mind, intention, the air element, and the movement itself. That is what is called going. Now, these three are said to be the origination factors of going. So when I say I go, we usually say I go, no? But actually there is no person going apart from the intention to go, the actual movements of the different parts of the body. Meditators come to realize this going as it really is and not as it appears to be. That means meditators achieve the real knowledge or the correct knowledge of going with the understanding of the origination factors. Now, in the commentary, there is a verse which I really like it. It says, "As to puppet's back, the threads are tied, so to the body doll, the mind is joined. And pulled by that, the body moves, stands, sits. Where is the living being that can stand or walk by force of its own inner strength, without conditions that gives it support?" So without these conditions, without the supporting causes, there can neither be walking, nor sitting, nor standing, nor moving at all. It's like the puppet, right? In this way, the meditator proceeds to understanding the causes of nama and rupa once they have already understood that there is only mind and matter, and then they clearly understand that they are different, and then understanding their individual characteristic. Now, why? Why is there rupa and why is there mind? We have actually already looked at this last week from the Anapana section. Now, we are here because we have done something in the past. We are here because of our karma. Karma is the cause of the body to arise, right? This karma arose because we had some craving for existence in a previous life, and we crave because of ignorance. Although we say we know about defilements, but we actually are ignorant of how to stop this endless turning around in samsara. Well, this ignorance causes us to crave for a better life. So we accumulate karma and have this good life as a human being in this lifetime. So the arising of material property in this life has many different causes: ignorance in the past, craving in the past, karma in the past, and nutriment in the present to keep the body alive, right? And also, because of ignorance, craving, karma in the past, resulting consciousness arise in this life. Then the associated cetasikas, material base, the hadaya watu, heart base, as well as the contact in the present with the object, support the continuous arising of the consciousness. So in this way, meditators contemplate about the causes or origination factors of nama and rupa. And eventually, this contemplation will lead to the understanding of the dependent origination. So here, samudaya dhammanupasi, the contemplation of the origination factors, we can understand it to be understanding what causes the movement. So that is cetana, the intention, mind-produced air element, which moves the body parts and the movement itself. And then in a deeper understanding, we understand the causes of nama and rupa as well, that is dependent origination. And then vaya dhamma, the dissolution factors, means without these factors, and there will be no movement. And then also the reverse order of the dependent origination. Avijaya, tveva, sesa, viraga, nirodha, sankhara, nirodho, and so on, no? And so that is the dissolution factor. And understanding both of them, the origination factors and the dissolution factors, or we can say the normal order and the reverse order of dependent origination, that is called the samudaya via Dhammanupasi, contemplation of both the origination and dissolution of factors in the body. Okay, so in the same way as we saw in the Anapana section, the mindfulness of breathing, this is how we cultivate the two foundation wisdoms through the observation of bodily posture. So by understanding there is only mind and matter and no self there, we cultivate the Nama Rupa Paricheda Jnana, analytical knowledge of mind and matter. And then by understanding their causes and conditions, we developed Paccaya Parigaha Jnana, knowledge by discerning conditionality. And these two foundational wisdom will support the meditator to continue to develop the different stages of Vipassana wisdom, just as we saw last week. And so here I'm not going to repeat it again. So we go back to the sutta. Ati kayoti wa panasa sati pachupatita hoti. All his mindfulness is established as there is the body only. So meditators understand already about the two foundational wisdom, foundational understanding about Namarupa and the causes. So they cannot find anyone there. And that mindfulness is established to the extent necessary for further knowledge and mindfulness. So therefore, they are already ready. They already have this understanding for further development of Vipassana, to see the anicca, dukkha, anatta aspect of all the mind and matter, as well as seeing its arising and disappearing, and so on. No? Okay, so when the meditators come to see the arising and disappearing of the different phenomena, they see no reason to be attached to or grasped at anything, because they now see clearly by direct knowledge that everything is impermanent, is arising and vanishing. So here, not depending on or attached to anything by way of craving and wrong view, the meditators dwell. And as the meditation progressed, defilements will be momentarily or temporarily removed and eventually totally removed. So this is the way how meditators progressed in the Vipassana with mindfulness of the body posture. And this is how this meditation should be done. So here, very quickly, we came to the end of the section of the four posture. So let's do a little summary of the instructions. Now, in this section, the first instruction is to know the bodily posture. That is for the purpose of establishing mindfulness and concentration. And then, but for the section of internally and externally, that means understanding Nama and Rupa and understanding that there is no self. Then we go to the origination factors and dissolution factors. That is understanding the cost of Nama and Rupa. Then mindfulness of there is only the body and nothing else, then that is for further understanding. Then the meditator is not attached to anything through craving and wrong view, that's the realization. So we understand the building of the structure of the practice is basically the same as what we have seen in the section of the mindfulness of breathing in the Anapana, just that the object is a little bit different here. Okay, there is a question here. Nancy, she asked, I wish to ask about dwells contemplating vs actively thinking. Okay. Okay, actually, when we go to Sampajāna, the next section, and I think it will also give you some idea of that. How about we finish with the whole presentation of today, and then at the end, if it is still not clear what is the difference between just contemplation or thinking about it, then we will talk more about it at the end. Is that okay, Nancy? Let's take an early break today. It will be good that we pause here before going to the next session. So let's take an early break. Welcome back, everyone. Let's look at Ada and Kate's question first before we go to the next session. So I'll read. Knowing there is only the body, isn't that not the case? Is there not also the mind? Didn't we just say there is also nama? Right. So remember that last phrase there. Maybe I should go back to here. Now, Ati kayoti wa panasa sati pachupati tahoti, or his mindfulness is established as there is the body only, this part, right? So here it actually means not only the body, although it says there is body only. It's a little bit contradictory, but we must understand that in the section of the mindfulness of breathing, anapana, at that time, this body, we understand it to mean, because we are in the kaya section, we understand it to mean the breath body, right? So in that place, in that section, we understand that there is only the breath that is going on because there is mind, because there is the nostril, and because there is a body, then it is possible for breath, no? So in that case, we understand that there's only the breath body, but no individual, no person there. So here, in the same way, we understand that there is only body. We should take it as that there is only the movement. So when there is only the movement, that means there is the intention, as we just saw a little bit earlier before this paragraph, in the other paragraph, the samudaya dhamma, the origination factors, there's very clearly it mentioned that there is intention, then there is the mind-produced air element and the movement, right? So we need to understand that there is only the body here means that there is only the movement, the mind and matter working together. Is that clear, Ada? Yes, okay. And then the next question, that what is the distinction between nama and chitta? Okay, so nama, chitta, vijnana, mano, they are all synonym. We understand nama to mean chitta and cetasika together. But when we say chitta, we sometimes have to be careful. If we are, let's say, studying Abhidhamma, then chitta can sometimes mean only chitta, which has the function of cognizing an object. That's the function, individual function of chitta. But when we say chitta in a more general sense, then we understand it to mean chitta and cetasika that arise together, that associate with that chitta, no? Because chitta does not arise alone. So when we say chitta, there is no only chitta. If we're not talking about its individual characteristic or function, then we understand it to mean chitta together with the cetasika that arise together. So that is chitta, no? But nama, it obviously means chitta and cetasika both. And mano also, it means in different places, different terms are used. No? Vijnana, consciousness, that also means chitta and cetasika both together, and different kinds of consciousness, like consciousness associated with greed, consciousness associated with aversion, and different kinds of consciousness. They are also called chitta, they're also called vijnana, and called mano, and also called nama also. Right. Okay, yes, Edith. Yeah, welcome. Edith?
Yes, thank you. My question, it sounded like, only focusing on the postures basically could lead to enlightenment, right? So I was just going to ask if doesn't formal meditation be necessary as well?
Now, the posture, it's only the starting point of building mindfulness, right? Because at the end, the object of vipassana is nama and rupa. We must understand the characteristic of nama and individual characteristic of nama and rupa, have them very clearly separated, what is mind, what is matter, clearly understanding that is nama rupa paricheda jnana, analytical knowledge of mind and matter. And then we must also understand the causes of nama and rupa. So at the end, from the posture, we move to the understanding of nama and rupa itself. Right? So in the Satipatthana Sutta, you will see in all sections, it goes in the same structure, in the same way. Even from Anapana, from the Anapana concept, or from observing air element, at the end, we have to go to also observe not just air element, but also the other elements that arise together, no? Like the heat or earth, and also water, no? And then understand also other dependent matters as well that arise together. And then we need to understand the mind that recognize those things, that is the mind itself. So at the end, the 5 aggregates of clinging are the objects of vipassana. So however object we start with, whether anapana or for posture or what we are going to see in the next sessions, at the end we must always go back to nama and rupa.
Yeah, basically that's the thing, right? Like it's all included in one. I mean, even if you just practice this, right?
Yes, even if you just practice, that's just the starting point. But then it must always go back to nama and rupa. They understand.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so anything else? Any other questions about the section of the 4 postures? All good? All right, so now we'll continue then. We'll go to the next session, which is Sampajāna, clear comprehension. Okay, so this is also very interesting. We always talk about Sampajāna, clear comprehension. What does that actually mean? So we will see in this section that there are different kinds of clear comprehension. We'll go to the sutta directly. Okay, this section, it starts with Punya Chaparam Bhikkhave Bhikkhu Abhikante Patikante Sampajāna Hoti. And again, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu in going forward and in going back applies clear comprehension. So let's take a look at clear comprehension first, then later we come back to the going forward and going back. Now, what is the clear comprehension that the Buddha said that we must apply? Before trying to understand how we apply clear comprehension, let's take a look at the meaning of the term clear comprehension. Sampajāna. Sampajāna, this kali means the person that is doing the thing. So now Sampajāna means one who sees correctly, or one who knows correctly, entirely, and equally or evenly. Now, the prefix sam, it has many meanings, and the supplementary explains 3 meanings of this prefix here. The first one is rightly or correctly. That means when meditators try to see or observe the objects of meditation, they must see them clearly and precisely and not confuse them with other things. When we are distinguishing mind from matter and matter from mind, we must see mind separate from matter and matter separate from mind. So we are not confused. We are not thinking that mind may be matter may be mind. So we see them very clearly what is what. So this is rightly or correctly, not to confuse the object with other things. And the second meaning is entirely. That means in all aspects of the mental or physical phenomena, whatever we are observing, we must know the characteristic, its function, and its manifestation of that given object that we are looking at. Now I say 4 devices here for easy understanding, but the approximate cause is actually later. No? We first understand the characteristic, function, and manifestation first, and then later we understand the causes, right? Okay, then the third one, third meaning is equally or evenly. That means meditators must know how to evenly apply their mental faculties. When the mental faculties, the 5 mental spiritual faculties, do you remember? Sati, mindfulness; viriya, effort; samadhi, concentration; saddha, faith or confidence; then panya, wisdom, right? So these 5 spiritual faculties, when they are equal or even, there will be concentration and wisdom arising from that concentration. So when these faculties are not in balance, the mind will be disturbed and scattered, and therefore it will not be possible for wisdom to arise. So therefore here, this equally or evenly, this sum in the third meaning, that means to evenly apply the 5 spiritual faculties, that they must be in balance. Then pa, let's see. Pa Pa means clearly. And then jhana means knowing or understanding. So clear comprehension means seeing and knowing precisely, rightly, correctly, clearly, in its entirety, by evenly applying all the spiritual faculties. That is the meaning of Sampajāna, clear comprehension. There are 4 kinds of clear comprehension. So let's take a look of the 4 kinds, and then we will go into details one by one. The first one is called clear comprehension of what is of benefit, Sattaka Sampajāna. Then we have clear comprehension of what is suitable, Sappāya Sampajāna. Then we have clear comprehension of the meditator's domain, Gochara Sampajāna. And the last one, clear comprehension of non-delusion, Asamoha Sampajāna. So we have these 4 types of different clear comprehension, and all these 4 must be applied. So now let's go into details of each one of them, because just by the title, we might not understand what it means. So let's go to the first one. Sattaka Sampajāna, clear comprehension of what is of benefit. That means to consider before doing anything whether or not it will be a beneficial thing to do. When meditators know that it will be beneficial, then they will do it. And when they know that it is not beneficial, then they should not do it or should avoid doing it. And the purpose or benefit must be understood as being within the framework of the Dhamma and ultimately for spiritual development. No? So some examples are given in the commentaries. For example, paying respect in front of the Bodhi tree or visiting the pagodas are said to be a beneficial thing to do because we are cultivating positive mental states, appreciating the possibility of eradication of mental defilements and cultivation of wisdom, appreciating the great teacher, the Buddha, who found the way and taught the way. So it is a good thing to do, and it is beneficial for the person who is doing this kind of paying respect or contemplating, because a wholesome mind is being generated in the person that is doing that kind of action. So it is beneficial. And then another example given in the commentaries are giving Dhamma talks. Obviously, that will be very beneficial. And then when someone is practicing meditation, contemplating a dead body, and understanding that the nature of the dead body is the same as the nature of this own body, the same body. And that will be also something beneficial to do. So these are the activities that are of benefit to those who perform them. So this is the first clear comprehension, the clear comprehension of what is of benefit. But when the meditators know that a certain action is beneficial, we still should not do it right away. The next thing is to consider whether or not it is suitable to do. And that comes to the second type of clear comprehension, which is called Sappāya Sampajāna, clear comprehension of what is suitable. Say going to a pagoda or a Bodhi tree is beneficial, but when there is a pagoda festival with lots of people, then it might not be a suitable time for a meditator who wants to practice under a Bodhi tree. So although it is a beneficial thing to do, but it's not a suitable time. So that is the consideration of whether it is suitable or not. And then it also says that, for example, giving Dhamma talk is definitely good. However, when there is a crowd or when there are some kind of celebration or entertainment going on, then it might not be a suitable place to give a talk at that time. Also, it is said that for monks, it is not suitable to give Dhamma talk in seclusion to a woman that is being alone with her. So in this way, meditators must examine whether something is suitable or not, even though it is beneficial. Then, doing the practice of observing a dead body and contemplating that my own body is of the same nature may be beneficial, but sometimes it may happen that lustful thoughts may arise in the mind of the meditator while looking at a corpse. So in that case, it is not a suitable meditation object for that person at that time. So whatever action we do, we consider whether it is beneficial of our spiritual development and whether it is suitable, say it is right place or right time and things like that. So these two kinds of clear comprehension can be applied to any ordinary daily activities, say at work or doing offering, even doing food shopping or just resting or doing exercise. So anytime, anywhere we can apply clear comprehension. Say when we are offering some food to monks, we need also to consider, well, it is something beneficial to do, but is it the right time? If we offer something in the afternoon, they can't eat it, no? So this is not the right time. So this kind of different consideration we should do. Now, resting also, if the body is tired, is a beneficial thing and it is suitable, or if it is a suitable time, then we should take some rest. Or if we are just being lazy, then we have to separate and we have to understand and know ourselves and apply this kind of clear comprehension in our daily life. When we apply these two kinds of clear comprehension to whatever we are doing, we will be able to avoid some unwholesome mind state and our life will become better because there is mindfulness and understanding. Okay, then the third kind of clear comprehension is called Gochara Sampajāna. That means the clear comprehension of the meditator's domain. Gochara means the domain or the territory or the own territory. So it is said that when people stay in their own domain or own territory, they will not come to any harm or nobody can harass them. No? Because sometimes if they don't stay in their own territory, when they go out of their domain, then they may get harm. So for a meditator, what is the home or domain? And that is actually the four foundations of mindfulness. So it is said that the territory of a meditator is the four foundations of mindfulness. So here, clear comprehension of the domain means the practice of the four foundations of mindfulness. By always practicing mindfulness on the four foundations, meditators are said to be living in their domain, in their own territory. Now, with regard to this clear comprehension of the domain and how meditation should be practiced, the commentaries mentioned four kinds of monks, four kinds of bhikkhus. The first one is a bhikkhu who carries meditation to a village when going for alms, but does not carry meditation back to the monastery. Now, let's take a look at what does that mean. Bhikkhus usually divide the night into 3 watches. So in the daytime, they practice, and in the night, the first watch, they also practice meditation. And then in the second watch, they take rest. And then in the third watch, they also practice meditation. So monks, they practice meditation whole day and 2 watches of the night. And getting up early in the morning, they usually do whatever has to be done with regard to the monastery, say cleaning the quarters or sweeping the monastery floor, bringing water and so on. And they are to do all these actions with mindfulness. And then after that, after the chores, they will do some sitting meditation before they go to the village for alms. Then when the monk, the bhikkhu, go to the village, he carries meditation with him. That means he practices mindfulness meditation as he walks. He contemplates and he practices while he on the way to the village. Then when he reached the village, sometimes he might be asked to accept food in a house, or then he might eat there, or he may carry the bowl back to the monastery. So for the case of this first monk, he has been very mindfully practicing, and then he walks all the way to the village, very mindfully practicing, and then he accepts food. And on his way back to the village, in the commentaries, it is said that he may meet some young bhikkhus or novice, that they will ask him questions about the person who offered the food. Was he a relative of yours? Or they will talk to him. Then because he has to speak to these young monks or the novices, then he cannot keep contemplating deeply. So in order to talk to them, he gave up his contemplation and talked to them. So therefore, it is said that he goes back to the monastery without the meditation. However, when he reached the monastery, then he practiced again. So this is the first type of bhikkhu who carries forth meditation to the village, but does not carry it back to the monastery. Then there is a second type of bhikkhu, that is one who goes to the village without meditation, but he comes back with meditation. So it is said that he is a meditator who practiced meditation like the first bhikkhu. And then after his duty in the monastery, he sits in meditation for some time and goes to the village for alms. But because this bhikkhu, he has a very good digestion, so in the morning, his stomach is empty, and so the digestive fire or the digestive juice attack the lining of his stomach. So because of this burning sensation in his stomach, then he may be sweating or feeling dizzy, and he cannot keep his mind on the object. So therefore, he goes to the village to collect alms without bringing the meditation with him. And then after receiving some food, he's feeling much better. And then he becomes more tranquil and he can practice again. So after eating or while he's eating, he's being mindful. And then he carries the meditation back to the monastery. It is said that in the commentaries that many bhikkhus actually experience enlightenment while eating. So keeping the meditation while consuming food, it's also a practice, a kind of practice. Therefore, in retreats, mealtime is also a time for meditation. Instructions are given to meditators during retreats to eat mindfully. So these instructions are also found in the commentaries. Then a third kind of bhikkhu is mentioned. This kind of bhikkhu, they lived heedlessly. They neither bring the meditation to the village nor bring it back to the monastery. They have no desire or not interested in meditation at all. So they just eat and talk and mingles with lay people and does not practice. It is said that in the commentaries that no bhikkhus should act this way. So this is the third type of bhikkhu. And then there is a fourth type, which is the best kind. He carries meditation to the village and return from the village also with meditation. He has cultivated in his mind the ability to meditate all the time. So he rises again early in the morning, sit meditation, go to the village and collect alms. And throughout all the way, going and coming, he is always with meditation practice. So these four kinds of bhikkhus are mentioned in the commentary, and this fourth type are said to be the best. So Sayadaw Usilananda said that when we practice, we should practice like the fourth type of bhikkhu. The first type is he goes with meditation, comes back without. Second one goes without, comes back with. Third type, never meditate. And the fourth type, all the time he meditates. Now, in the past centuries, there are many bhikkhus who practice meditation, carrying it both to the village and back to the monastery. In the commentaries, there are examples of how they practice. So just for our understanding, I will mention a few different practices that they used to do. Sometimes a group of bhikkhus, they will live together, and when they meet with each other, then they agree with each other that they should practice very seriously. So they admonish themselves that we became bhikkhus not because we were in trouble or because we are afraid of running away from some punishment, and also not because we could not earn our living. We became bhikkhu because we wanted to escape from the round of rebirths, from this mass of suffering. Therefore, we must practice meditation very diligently. So they agree with each other, and then they practice making up their mind to get rid of any kind of mental defilements the moment they realize it. As the defilement arose, when they realized it, they decided that they should get rid of it right away there. So for example, say the bhikkhus are going on alms and they are walking in a straight line, one after the other. And when one of the bhikkhus, when some defilements arise in the mind, then he will try to immediately take care of that defilement while he is still walking. That means that he will not carry that defilement to the next step or to the next posture. Then if he was not able to do it while he was walking, then he will stop. And then the whole line of bhikkhus will stop after him. And then he will practice there until that defilement is subside. Then he will continue walking. And if standing is still not working, then he will sit down. And then the whole line of bhikkhu will sit down and wait. And then after that, when that defilement is gone, then he will continue the walking. So they practice it this way. And then there are also some stories with regard to the fourth type of bhikkhus, those who practice all the time. For example, there was an elder named Mahaphusadeva. For 19 years, he practiced continuously meditation when he goes to the village for alms and when he returned to the monastery. When he had performed some activities or he had walked without mindfulness, what he would do is that he will go back to the place and start all over again. So say he had gone 4 or 5 steps without mindfulness, then he would go back to the place of the first step and start the practice again. So some villagers who were working in the field saw him. They thought that he might have lost his way or dropped something, but the elder did not pay attention to them and he just continued practicing this way. And it is said that in the 20th year, he attained arahantship. And for some other bhikkhus, in order to avoid talking heedlessly, they kept some water in their mouth and went to the village for alms. So before going out, they drink some water and then they keep it in the mouth. Then when somebody asks them a question in the village, then they answer only after swallowing that water. So it is said that a group of monks who did this practice also attained arahantship at the end of the 3-month rain retreat at the monastery called Caraṇapālī. After the rain retreat, all the bhikkhus, they attained arahantship because they have kept staying in the domain all the time. So this is how bhikkhus during the early centuries applied the clear comprehension of the domain. That is the clear comprehension of practicing meditation, actually. So they lived always in the domain, meaning they are always with the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Now, why does the commentary explain this clear comprehension by way of a monk going to the village and taking meditation with him and coming back like that? That is because it is said that it is easy to keep meditation in the monastery. We might all have this experience in retreat. We are very mindful and we are practicing very nicely. But then when the monks, when they go out to the village for alms, then there are many things that they have to take care of. They have to be careful of the road, of the animals, and so on. And also in the village, there are many people and distractions, and that can make it very difficult for the monks on alms to maintain unbroken meditation. So in this section, in order to emphasize that meditation must not be forsaken under any circumstances, even at difficult times, the point is made in terms of monks going to the village and coming back with meditation. That's why it is explained in this way. So this clear comprehension of domain simply means the practice of meditation all the time. So just like how the monks practice, lay people should also take the meditation back home when we finish a retreat. We need to continue the practice at home as if we were in the meditation center. Maybe in a different routine, but the practice continues. Sayadaw U Tejaniya says, meditation center is like a training camp. We need to take the meditation or what we learned in the meditation center and apply it in our daily life. He said that if we cannot use what we learned, then we have just wasted our time. He said that daily life is the real ring. Defilements and suffering have no mercy at all. If we are not skillful, we get punished. So Sayadaw says that to face real defilements in real situation, we need real wisdom. So we should continue developing wisdom and mindfulness in our daily life in order to be able to apply it in the daily life, not in the protected environment. Now, many people say that it's very difficult to practice at home because there are too many objects. Then Sayadaw U Tejaniya says, how many objects actually do we have? Well, there seems to be many objects in daily life because our focus is external. There are so many different objects out there, of course, but if our focus is internal, there are actually only 6 objects and nothing more. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental object. So 6 objects is the same in the meditation center and 6 objects in daily life. There is no difference. There's only 6 objects, not many objects. Also, like how the monks practice to get rid of the defilements as soon as they realize them and not carrying them forward into the next body posture, Sayadaw U Tejaniya also advised yogis to keep checking on the defilements as they arise and to immediately deal with it. He calls it reset to 0. Sometimes when we are aware of a certain defilement, you may have this experience, it seems that they They appear and then we recognize it and then they disappear. But then Sayadaw U Tejaniya told yogis to not immediately believe that they are already gone, but to keep an eye on it and keep checking back if it is really not there, if it is coming back, or if there is just a little bit left. So we have to always be aware whether the defilement is still there or not. Say this little match, there's just very little fire. Are we afraid of this fire, this much of fire? You're afraid of this little match? No, we think it's nothing. We can just blow it and it's gone, right? So in the same way, a little bit of defilement, just a little bit of boredom, let's say, we usually think that it's okay, it's nothing. We're not afraid of it. But then if we don't look at it, it may grow. Then well, how about a little bit more fire? Now this much candles there. Nah, that's still not nothing. It's not gonna cause much harm, not just candles, right? So we're still not taking care of the defilements and it is growing a little bit. But then when it becomes like a campfire, okay, now we have to be aware. But then when it starts growing, it grows really fast into burning down the whole house and the whole forest in minutes or even in seconds. So it can grow uncontrollably if we do not take care of it. And also another thing is that defilements, they can accumulate. Let's take a look at this dosa meter, this aversion meter. Say one day in the morning, we woke up late because the alarm didn't ring. So dosa or aversion, it's just a little bit. We're not very happy. Then the person just hurry and get ready and then go out to find out that the car has a flat tire. Okay, then finally, after changing the tire, then he get caught in a traffic jam and the aversion start building up. Arriving to the office, the boss get very angry because he was really late. And then after the whole day of work, coming back, traffic again. And then coming home, the little ones running around break the vase. And now just this little last thing, and it triggered the explosion of the dosa that was accumulated all day, which is really not fair because maybe very often the very last trigger, it can be something very, very tiny, something very not significant. And it might often be someone who is closest to us. And the worst thing is that one day after day after day, this dosa keeps accumulating if we do not take care of it, and then it will come to an explosion. So Sayadaw U Tejaniya, he always remind yogis to, instead of letting it accumulate, we have to constantly reset it back to zero. So say in the same day, if we are already recognizing that dosa is already at level 2, let's say, as soon as we recognize it, we look at it and then we take care of it, then we bring it back to zero. Then when we have another thing that is not in accordance with what we want, then dosa arise again. Then we bring it back to zero. And whatever happened, we always bring it back. We do not allow it to accumulate. So in this way, we will not so easily get to the place where we will explode, and life certainly will be much better in this way, right? So about this, Bhante Rahula, he asked a few questions. He asked, do we all know well where are our zeros? Do we have a clear method to reset? And once we think it is zero, is it really zero? And can we improve the quality of the zero and maintain it? Will it be useful to have mindfulness? So these are questions for us to contemplate and think about during our practice, for our daily practice and for our well-being. So I'll leave these questions to you. So what is necessary for practice is mindfulness, balanced patience, and ultimately, and most importantly, wisdom and understanding. Okay, so let's go back to the clear comprehension of the meditator's domain. So by always being mindful as much as possible and staying in the yogi's domain, which is the 4 Satipatthana, we protect ourselves from defilements. No? So that's why this is very important. Whenever we say mindfulness, Sometimes you see sati sampajāna. It's these two words are used together many times. So when there is mindfulness, then there is clear comprehension. So sometimes when we see sati only, we need to understand that this sampajāna, this clear comprehension, is also meant. So only sati is not good enough. We must have sati together with clear comprehension, clear understanding. Okay, then we move on to the last type of clear comprehension, which is asamoha sampajāna, clear comprehension of non-delusion. That means the meditators are not confused with the different type of meditation object. Meditators recognize the object and know their difference clearly. Mind is mind, matter is matter. When they comprehend them clearly and see them as distinct, they are said to be applying the clear comprehension of non-delusion. Now, this clear comprehension of non-delusion will arise when we thoroughly apply the clear comprehension of the domain. That means when the practice of the four satipatthana has been brought into maturity or has been brought into a certain level of development. So when we practice meditation, what is important is the gochara sampajāna, the clear comprehension of meditator's domain. If we keep with that, it will eventually lead to the comprehension of non-delusion. So this clear comprehension arises by itself when we are practicing properly. So we have 4 types of clear comprehension. The first 2, sataka sampajāna, clear comprehension of what is of benefit. Sappaya sampajāna, clear comprehension of suitability. These 2, it can be applied to any type of activities and is not directly for vipassana purpose, but it is helpful. And the last 2, gochara sampajāna and asamoha sampajāna, it is directly for vipassana purpose. And it is essential for the vipassana practice. Okay, so after understanding what is meant by clear comprehension, we go back to the sutta. It says, Punya chaparam bhikkhave bhikkhu abhikante patikante. Abhikante means going forward, and patikante means going back or returning. So going somewhere, coming back. And here, the meditator is to apply clear comprehension. So all 4 kinds of clear comprehension can be applied here. Before going somewhere or returning, meditators must consider whether this is beneficial, whether it is suitable, and then meditators keep themselves being mindful of the going and of the coming back. And then when we keep observing, when we keep being mindful of the going and coming, a time will come that we will see clearly the nature of the going and the coming back. That is the asamoha sampajāna, not the clear comprehension of non-delusion. We will understand that there is no permanent entity that is going. There is no self doing the going or returning. We will see that there is only phenomena, only intention, and the going caused by that intention, which is the air element produced by the mind, moving the body parts, and movement occurs. So that is, when we understand that, that will be the 4th kind of clear comprehension. And that knowing, that asamoha sampajāna, is a knowing that is not diluted and is precise, thorough, and to the point. Now, in the commentaries, it is said that sawa ekasa bikamanam paramatato hi dadunam eva gamanam dadunam tanam dadunam nisajanam dadunam sayanam tasmin hi kotase sadim rupena anyam upajati chittam anyam chittam nirujati aviji manusambando nadi soto wa watati ti evam abhikamadisu asamuhanam asamoha sampajānam namati. Let's see the English version. Whose going forward is it? In ultimate reality, it is only elements that do, that goes, elements that stand, elements that sit, elements that lie down. In each instance, along with matter, one consciousness ceases and another consciousness arises. The process flows on like a river current without interruption. This is what is called clear comprehension of non-delusion regarding going forward and other such actions. So that means the understanding of there is no self, there is only elements going, elements standing, elements sitting, and elements lying down. Along with this matter, also consciousness or intention arises and then passes, arises and passes, like the flowing river, like the current. So this is how the understanding should be for a meditator. So that is the going forward and in going back. Let's see what other actions are being mentioned in this section. In looking straight ahead and in looking away from the front. Alokite, we lokite. Now, when we are looking, what is actually happening in ultimate reality? A series of chitta arises and passes away one after another, each performing their own function. Everything is temporary. The chitta that took the previous visible object is not here anymore. And even what we are looking at are also constantly changing. Seeing is happening only because conditions are coming together. When there is light, when there is a visible object, and then there is eye sensitivity, and when the eye sensitivity and the object get in contact, then eye consciousness arises. So actually, there is no one seeing. It's only the 5 aggregates, which is the mind and matter, performing the action of seeing. Because there are sufficient conditions for this seeing to happen. This is how a meditator applies clear comprehension when looking ahead and looking away, understanding that it's only the 5 aggregates working. Okay, then the next action or next phrase is says, samijite pasarite, in bending his limbs and in stretching his limbs. He or she is also to apply clear comprehension. Now we understand this in the same way for all the other actions, actually. So only intention or air element caused by consciousness, moving the body parts in order to perform that action, no? Now, sometimes it happens to me, quite a lot. I find small bruises here and there on my limbs. If I'm not mindful and rushing around the house, I hit myself in the corner, in the chairs, and like that. And later I see bruises without knowing where or how I got them. So that is going around, bending and stretching the limbs without applying mindfulness and clear comprehension. So don't do that. And so it is mentioned in the commentaries also that there were bhikkhus who moved their limbs without mindfulness and got bitten by a snake or get burned at a campfire, etc. So here in this sutta, the Buddha is emphasizing on being mindful all the time, as continuously as possible, whatever small actions we are doing. Because only with continuity will the mind gain stability and concentration. And without concentration, it is not possible for the mind to see and understand ultimate reality. So therefore, this continuity is very important. Then, continuing with the sutta, it says, Sangati pata jivara dharane sampajāna kari hoti. In wearing the robes, the double robe and other robes, and in carrying the bowl, the monk applies clear comprehension. This obviously can be applied to lay people in wearing clothes and in using bowls, cups, plates, etc. Also applies clear comprehension. So it is the same for monks and for lay people. We need to contemplate on the with 4 clear comprehension. So we need to contemplate on the benefit of using these clothes and also on the suitability of using these clothes. Actually, there is a reflection of how to use robes for monks and clothes for lay people that you might have heard of. Let's take a look at the reflection. I think many of you might already have heard of it or know it, but let's listen to the chant.
Adi Sankhayo Niso Jivarang Patisevami Yavadevasi Tassa Patikataya Unnasa Patikataya ดังสัมมากัสสวะตาตัปปะสิริงสัพพะสัมปัสสานังปฏิฆาตายายาวะเดวะหิริโกปินาปฏิชาตนาทัง
So it says, wisely reflecting, I use the rope or clothes for lay people only to ward off cold, to ward off heat, to ward off the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and creeping things, only for the sake of modesty. This is a reflection on how to use robes for monks and clothes for lay people. We use clothes for what reason? It is for protection, not for fashion or for enjoyment or for beautifying, but only for the protection of the body, so we may continue living healthily for the sake of the practice. So this is the kind of reflection that monks do in the monastery, and also for lay people we can do in the meditation center and at home as well. Now, concerning the clear comprehension on suitability, we need to choose proper clothes according to the body condition and the weather. Then you may say, monks' robes are all the same. Like, how do they choose clothes? No, it's all the same. So it is mentioned in the commentaries that it is not suitable to use the robes that are too old, because then they might need repair often, then they will be busy. They have to be sewing the robes all the time, so it's not suitable. Or robes of very high quality are also not suitable because it is easy to get attached to. And also, it also prompts danger, especially in the ancient time, in the time of the Buddha. Clothes or robes are valuables, so they might meet with robbery or things like that. So that those robes of high quality are also not suitable. And also, it is said that amongst the robes that are obtained from wrong livelihood, say by reading stars, reading palms, fortune telling, and those things are also not suitable. So these are the way how monks consider whether the robes are suitable or not. And of course, while using the robes, we also have to apply Gochara Sampajāna, that is to stay with the 4 foundations of mindfulness, or keeping the mind with the practice. And when clear comprehension is brought to maturity, we will see that there are only these 2 things, mind and matter, performing the action of wearing the clothes or using the clothes. There is no entity there, no being there. And that is the asamoha sampajāna, no? So when we apply the clear comprehension of the domain, meaning staying with mindfulness, and we keep practicing, then we see that there is only the cetana, intention, together with the air element prominent material property produced by the mind and the movement itself. And when we see that clearly, that there is no self, then there is the Gochara Sampajāna together with the Asamoha Sampajāna. Okay, then we continue with the sutta. We have finished with the wearing the robes or clothes, and then in carrying the bowl as well. So when we're carrying food, or we're using cups and plates, and in the same way, we have to apply clear comprehension. Then it continues, asite in eating, pite drinking, kaite chewing, and saite savoring. He applies clear comprehension. Just eating is still eating, but here it is very precisely divided, eating, savoring, and so on. So these different meanings, it all means eating. But eating asite refers to like eating meals of rice and food, noodles or things like that. And kaite, translated as chewing, can be understood as like eating soft things like cakes or dessert and like that. And saite, the savoring, will be like licking honey or candies and things like that. So for consuming food, there is also a reflection, which I think you also might have heard of. So let's take a look.
ปฏิสังขายโยนิโสปินดาปาตังปฏิเสวามิเนวตวายามนะมัทายามนะมันดนายามนะวิภูสนายายาวะเดวะอิมัสสกายสัตติติยายาปนายามวิหิงสุปรติยา รัมมจริยานุกายาอิติปุรานันจะเวทนังปฏิหังกามินาวันจะเวทนังนาอุปาเดสามิยาตราจะเมภวิสติอนวัจจตาจะภาสุวิหารโรจาติ
So this is the wise reflection on using food, on consuming food. So it said, I use alms food or I consume food not for fun, not for pleasure, not for fattening, not for beautification, only for the maintenance of this body, for ending discomfort, for supporting the spiritual practice. Thinking thus, I will allay hunger without overeating, that I may continue to live blamelessly and at ease. So this is how we should be reflecting when we are consuming food. So that's also applying clear comprehension. We understand that eating food is beneficial for keeping the body alive, and whether it is suitable for monks especially, and whether it is in the right time, and for people who are taking 8 precepts on Uposatha day or on any other days. So applying this clear comprehension is very helpful because it keeps our mind more centered with wisdom, it's keeping the mind in a wholesome state, because it is very easy for us to get lost to enjoying the food or eating more than what we want. And greed can very readily arise when eating. And it is actually quite difficult to restrain the faculties. Like eyes, okay, I don't see, I don't look at this thing, I don't look at that, that's okay, I can not look. And listening to music or some enjoyable thing, okay, I cannot listen to that, that's okay. But we cannot not eat, no? So we must eat. So that therefore it is a difficult one because we cannot avoid. So this reflection is very helpful when we are eating food to remember what it actually is for. So when we keep applying the clear comprehension when we are eating, not only knowing that whether it is beneficial or whether it is suitable, we can actually see it in a deeper level. Remember that there are monks that get enlightened while eating. So what are they contemplating and what is happening in the mind? When we are contemplating on Gochara Sampajāna, when we are practicing meditation at the time, when we're eating, we may realize that when we put the food into the mouth, that movement is air element working. Vayodhatu is prominent there. Then when we are chewing the food and there is saliva in the mouth, then abodhatu, water element, is prominent in there. Then when the stomach is digesting the food that we are eating, that's the heat or tejodhatu, heat element, is working. And also, manovijnana dhatu is also important. The intention to perform this eating, who wants to eat, what wants to eat, is the mind. The body doesn't actually know. The mind has the intention to eat, and then all these movements and all the subsequent chewing and all these things happen. So it is actually only dhatu, only elements working. There is no being at all. So while eating, we can also do this kind of contemplation. And that is Gochara Sampajāna. And when understanding arises, that will be Asamoha Sampajāna. Clear comprehension of non-delusion. Okay, so going back to the sutta, it continues. In this way, we are to apply clear comprehension in all these actions. Also, in obeying the calls of nature, he or she applies clear comprehension. So in Vipassana, no activities should be ignored. Meditators need to be aware of every action. So we must be mindful of all actions, whether it is a major or a minor activity. They are all included in meditation. When we go to toilet also, we also have to be mindful of the activities, of what's going on. And then the sutta continues, gate, walking, titte, standing, nisine, sitting, sutte, jagarite, falling asleep and waking up. It is said that waking up is very difficult. Maybe you can try it. Have you tried? to be mindful when you, at the moment when you wake up? It is said that it is quite difficult. Yeah. So this is also a kind of practice. So as soon as we wake up, we try to be aware. Sometimes we might not catch the very moment that the mind is still like kind of like waking up. But if we continue to practice and practice, we will be able to catch or apply sati and be mindful as soon as possible after we wake up. No? Okay, then it continues saying, Basite, speaking, and tunhi bawe, or keeping silence. Also, we are to apply clear comprehension. That means we are to practice meditation also when we are talking or when we are keeping silence. And how do we keep mindfulness when we talk? What can we be aware of while we talk to others, or how to practice talking meditation? So I don't think we have enough time to talk about this talking meditation or how to practice while we talk today. So Sayadaw U Tejine, he give a lot of advice about this, but we will keep that for next week, okay? And so because it will be nice that we can finish with this section today. So we'll keep that for next week. We'll continue. So we have seen that up to here, we have finished seeing all the actions that are mentioned in this section, basically everything, in all throughout the daily life, even going to the toilet, eating and talking, whatever, we must keep the clear comprehension. That means keep practicing. So you may wonder that why are we again talking about posture in this section if it has already been covered in the 4 posture already, no? So in the commentaries, it is explained that there are 3 durations of postures. Postures of long duration, of middle duration, and of short duration. So in the previous section of the 4 postures, there it mainly dealt with the long durations, like going, sitting, standing, and lying down for a longer period of time. Then in this section, the going forward and backward, looking straight ahead, looking away, bending and stretching, they are said to be of middle duration. Which are not too long or not too short, And then the walking, standing, falling asleep, waking up, speaking, keeping silent, and all these other actions are said to be of short duration. So therefore, in this section and in the previous section, whatever kind of bodily postures or actions, whether it is with long duration or short duration, all of them are being covered in these 2 sections. So that means that all the time, whatever activities that we do, we must always keep the mind with clear comprehension, 4 kinds of clear comprehension together with mindfulness. Now we use the words clear comprehension, observed, knowing, watching, aware, or mindful, and we use all these terms, but they all mean actually the same attitude, the same kind of awareness and understanding that we need to apply during our practice in our daily life and in formal practice also. So these words are interchangeable. So you can understand all this to mean sati together with clear comprehension. Now, when we try to keep the mind on the object, as we have seen in the very beginning, the introduction of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, we must have effort, mindfulness, concentration, and understanding. And we must maintain this 4 quality, 4 state as much as possible. When we practice meditation, we try to maintain continuous mindfulness with clear comprehension, and we try to keep right view, that it is only nature working, doing its job. It's not me, it's not no person, no self there, even if it is still intellectual in the beginning, but it helps us to observe more objectively and less involved in what is happening. And so just watching the nature of how things unfold, when we are mindful and when the mind is stable, then understanding or insight can arise at any moment. It will arise by itself. So our job is only to keep observing, keep watching. So that Nancy, her question about contemplating deeply, it does not actually mean thinking. It means when we are observing and when we have this kind of understanding, because now we are studying, right? We already read the first part of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. We know what needs to be done and what is the object of Vipassana. We have this information. So when we keep watching and keep observing, then this information will work in the background of the mind. And the mind might think about this thing, and that's okay. That we are aware, we know that the mind is now contemplating, is knowing, it's actually just elements working. There is nobody there. Maybe some kind of these ideas or thoughts will arise in the mind, and that is okay. And we are not trying to think about the thing very deeply, but we have to have a sense of the direction of where we are going. We have to that is the direction. We direct the mind to those kind of understanding, and we keep observing. Because if we just look and we don't know where we're going, why are we even observing? We don't know that, then there is no possibility for wisdom to arise, right? The mind needs to know what we are doing, why we are doing this. So some kind of thinking and contemplation is necessary. And when we understand well, and we keep this in the background of the mind, and we keep observing and applying. Sometimes also when the mind becomes very, let's say, just like dual or just observing without wisdom at all, then we remember Sayadaw Tejaniya, he always said that, like, drop a question to the mind, but we're not looking for the answer, but we're giving a direction for the mind. Right, so that's how that's what's about contemplating and observing. Okay, I hope that's clear. Nancy, is that okay? Yeah, okay. All right, so let's finish the sutta very quickly. Then it continues with internally, externally. I will not repeat it. It's the same as the other section, previous section. Then samudaya dhammanupasiwa kayasmin viharati, the origination factors, dissolution factors, in the same way, like the movements with the cetana, and also the mind-produced air element and the movement, and also the dependent origination. Then, in the same way, when meditators contemplate this way, then they do not grasp for anything, because they understand with the clear comprehension of non-delusion. They see that it doesn't make any sense to cling to anything at all. So here we come to the end of the third section on the contemplation of the body, which is the clear comprehension section. All right, so we finished with these two today, and next week we are going to patikula manasikara, repulsiveness of the body. Okay, anyone has anything to ask? All good? Wonderful. No, you all understand very well today. That's good. Okay, in this case, then we will close today by reciting, and we will dedicate our effort for the attainment of Nibbana, and also we'll share merits with all beings. So let's recite together. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa paceyo hotu. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa paceyo hotu. Itam no punyam Nibbanasa paceyo hotu. Itam no punyam sabhasatanam bhajima. Itam no punyam sabhasatanam bhajima. Itam no punyam sabhasatanam bhajima. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you, everyone. I'll see you again next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heidi. Very well
Welcome.
explained. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu.
Welcome. Thank you, Joe.